Hey guys, my name is Jalen, and today I'll be showing you how to create a realistic pearlescent figure in Adobe Illustrator. Now, what I'm going to do here is create a background layer. So the layer's already made for us, but I want to make it into a editable, or I guess just an editable layer. And so I go like this, and for more precision I hold shift, and that changes this square into to have all even sides, so it wouldn't be like this all kind of wonky. So if I hold shift and just drag out to this corner, it will lock itself on to the corner, and now the background layer is made. And for this background, I'm going to turn it black. I could turn it black using this icon right here, or if I double click here, it'll give me the color spectrum, and I could just make it whatever color I want. But for this time, we're just going to make it black, and then it just fills in the whole color black. And I'm going to make a new layer on top of this background layer. So I'm going to name this one background, and I'm going to name this one figure. So they're physically separated by different layers. Okay, and so I'm going to use the rectangle tool again, and I'm going to find the middle of the canvas, and right here where it has the points in the middle, this indicates the center of the canvas. And so if I hold shift and then alt, you see how the corners appear right here. This means that it's going to be from the center of the page, no matter how I move it and how I click it. And for this figure, it's not going to be too big, so I'm just going to make it this size, and it automatically fills it into a black. But we're going to turn this into a white, so I could just see what I'm editing. And from here, I'm going to use the direct selection tool, and from here I'm just going to shift click here and shift click here. So these 2 points will actually, let's make this one, and this one editable. Okay. Oh, well, actually, I don't want this background layer to click. So for here, I just want to lock it. So if I click it, nothing happens. Like, I can't move it. I can't do anything. So back to here, we're just going to select. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to deselect this one. And from here, you could pick any of these 3 circles right here. And we're going to make the figure just like this. All of them are closing in except for the one that I didn't pick. And we're going to go to the circle, and that red line means that it cannot go any further without it distorting the shape. And there we have our, or at least we have our first layer for our figure. And so now we're just going to place a gradient on it. And if I just click right here, it applies the basic black to white gradient. But for this one, we're going to be using not the radial gradient, but we're going to be using the freeform gradient, which is probably one of the more difficult tools to use. And so it just puts random dots on here, and it just indicates what color it has for a specific region. So if I move this black over here, then it influences where the colors go. It's kind of like a lighting effect in a way. So these kind of act like just light as it moves throughout the room. And so if you have that in mind, then this tool will become a lot easier to use. So we don't need all of these dots, we only need about 4, so I'm going to drag this one off the figure and it deletes that. and I'm gonna make all these 4 points create a loop using the lines. And from there, I click on one point and here's a line, and then it'll naturally curve out, creating this line. And then we go here, and then we add, and then we go there. And so for this kind of gradient, I'm just gonna use my 2 favorite colors of purple and then red. Well, actually, let's switch that around. So we're gonna use red and then purple, and we're gonna make this one purple, and we're gonna make this one red, splitting them both 5-5. And the way that I change the colors is by double clicking on the point, just like I double clicked here to change the colors. And through this, I could move it whichever way I want to create all types of different gradient lines. But for now, we're just gonna keep the circle. And from here, we're gonna duplicate this layer. But after that, the way we duplicate is just a simple control, copy, paste. And so now we have the figure, and we can select that using the selection tool. And we can pull it out to about there. And we want this to be the background layer though, or at least make it appear as if it's in the background. And so what we're gonna do is click on the opacity at the bottom and go to the blending mode, and we're just gonna lighten it. Or is it screen? And then we're gonna drop the opacity so it looks like it's just a faint part of the figure. And now this is where the realism kicks in. So we're just gonna create another layer. And so we're just gonna call this stack, because we'll be stacking a couple layers in this one. And so these 2 are still editable, and this background layer is still locked, so we can't do anything with that. And now we're just gonna right click on the rectangle tool and go to the ellipse tool, which is basically the circle tool, because if you hold Shift and Alt just like the square, the corners are now rounded, and so it will be a centered circle no matter what. And so we're just gonna go here, and now this is white, but I could turn it into the gradient right here by just pressing I, as this is the eyedropper tool for colors, and right there, so the gradient is applied, but I don't want the gradient to be the same as the one behind it. And this is where the realism part kicks in, so we just swap the colors out. Red on this side, and purple on this side. Okay. Boom, like that. And since you want to make it realistic, it shouldn't be the same after each stack. So we try to move the colors around just a little bit, just to create a little bit more contrast. And from here, we're just gonna copy. We're just gonna copy and paste to make another circle. And in the direct selection tool, we're just gonna move that back to the center. And we're just gonna make this just another hair smaller. And the gradient is already applied since this was a copy and paste gradient. And the shortcut for gradient is just hitting the letter G on your keyboard. And just like the first one, we want to switch the gradients colors again to a purple and red on this side, and just want to move this a little bit more. We could probably move this all the way out here to make it more purple dominant. And then we can add one more circle by control copy and paste. And the shortcut for the selection tool is V. So from here we make it, let's make this one really small for more contrast, and it still has the same gradient mapping as the one before it. And once again we swap colors, purple, and just like that, press V and then you click off, and there's your figure. It's kind of like a flame wheel or like a speaker, but this is how you make a realistic Pearlescent figure. Notice how the lines aren't really lined up evenly. That's just to portray natural lighting, and this is more or less just for a little bit of effect. And if you want to really get funky with it, you could press A and double click on a corner, and you can make this go out all the way to the tip, or you could just move it anywhere really. It doesn't really matter. But once you get back to this, and this is the figure. And I'm glad you guys watched this, and I hope you learned how to recreate this. And I wish you guys the best of luck, and goodbye.